Greetings. This is Arvette McLean with Speak, The Universe Listens. New ways to view age-old challenges. Change your thoughts, change your life. Step into the bigness of you.
Hey y'all.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. So y'all, the other night I was watching TV and I was thinking about y'all. So I was watching Naked and Afraid, right? So that's like my favorite little pastime show to watch because I don't know why. I just like seeing people like living through different terrains. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But yeah, so as I was watching on this particular episode, they had two people there, but they weren't survivalists like it normally is. It was just two people who were fans of the show. And so I was like, well, this is interesting. Let me watch. And so as I was watching, it was one lady on there who I felt was doing something that was super interesting to me. Every time they would run into a situation, she would go, well, what would Johnny do? Or what would Tom do? And then the solution would just pop up in her mind. And that made me think instantly to conversations that we often have about how we're all connected to each other. And just, it made me think that the knowledge that one person has, we all have. Which made me think, well, have I ever done that? Have I ever faced a challenge and said, oh man, can such and such give me the knowledge of the power and it guide me through? And then I thought, yeah, but my person is always usually unaffected. So I guess I just wanted to open up to y'all and say, have y'all ever reached on the power or the knowledge of somebody else that wasn't around just because you knew you were connected to them as well?
Oh man, many a times, yeah, man. I would say more so now versus, earlier years along my journey, but most definitely I'll sit back and I'll think about it for a second and I'll be like, all right, what would Arvette do? What would she say right now, and I'll just think about it for a second. And it's crazy because when I think like that, it'll be like, okay, I know it, but I need that reminder sometimes. And so if I hear it from somebody else, that gets me back on track.
Okay, so yeah, I definitely I used to use that technique all the time. I know 2 times that I wrote about in my book, when Black Women Speak. So one of the times was, I don't know for what reason, I was taking a chemistry class. And when I say I understand mostly anything, like it's easy for me to understand stuff, especially if it's science related. I could not understand chemistry to save my life. And I would study chemistry like 40 hours a week, literally 40 hours a week. And I just didn't understand it. And so I would study for the exams. And I studied up to the last minute, and then I would just pray. And I would just be like, I would ask George Washington Carver, Mae Jemison, and who was my other person? It was 3 people I would call upon, like, please just, give me your knowledge, help me through this exam, whatever. And so I would take the exams, and I would always get A's on the exams. And even though most of the time I don't even understand the question that they asked me. But I would always get A's, and then so of course the teacher would be like, if y'all need, the teacher would be like, I can't believe you're smarter than me. I'm gonna have to make the exams harder. And she would be like, if anybody need help, ask Arvette. And so people would be like, can you help me? And I'm like, but it used to work. And then also somebody recently told me, I think it was yesterday, somebody was like, something came up on my timeline. They were like, when you ran the Dash for the Cash, I think she said it was 8 years ago today when you ran Dash for the Cash. And I was like, oh, for real? But at any rate, the Dash for the Cash situation was basically I would have to win the race. And if I did, I would get a head start, but if I won, I would win money. But the amount of head start that they gave me it was like almost a physical impossibility for me to win.
Okay.
And so I was stressed to the max. But when it came to race day, I asked Flojo, what is it? The Hussein guy.
Usain Bolt.
And so who was Florence's sister-in-law?
I'm not sure.
So Flo, oh my goodness. But anyway, Jackie Kersey Joyner. So I asked all of them, like, just give me your speed, just just help me with this. And sure enough, not only did I win, I won by the largest margin that they ever had for Dash for the Cash at that time.
Wow.
That's incredible. Word to Flojo.
Word to Flojo. I like that.
But yeah, I just found it so interesting that this lady was doing that in the middle of the wilderness. So that's what was blowing my mind, and I felt amazed that she knew to tap into that as well. It's like, no, well, I ain't never done none of this, but I didn't watch all these people do it, and I didn't watch enough, and like they tell me enough of their story to where I could just say, well, I remember when Johnny built that raft. He said that something was wrong. I can't remember what he said, but I'm gonna bring duct tape when I go, and that's just gonna help everything. Man, she got to using that duct tape and just calling on the powers of everybody around her, and it might have been the smoothest I've ever seen anybody do that show. Like this couple, they went through no real hardships at all. Like the hardest night might have been night 1, and that's only because she didn't start asking for help yet. The minute she started leaning in and tapping into like all that she was connected to, everything started working. The rain started slowing down for them. The water lowered just enough so that we could take the raft across. Like all she had to do was kind of calm herself and say, all right, well, what would my counterparts do? Or what would such and such do? Because that's also her, is what I instantly thought. Like, oh, you just calling on yourself from a past moment. And I thought that was so amazing.
I think about it now. I remember just like how you called on Joe, right? I thought about I had a hardship before, and I thought about a good friend of mine. His name is Junior, and he went through hardship when we were like younger as kids. He was like my best friend, but this man, he was like he was homeless, and he went through so much by himself. I never knew until maybe, graduated high school, we grown, we adults now, and this man told me his story. I'm like, get out of here, man. But then I realized, I'm like, oh wow, he telling the truth. And when I went through my hardship, that was the first thing I thought about. I was like, man, this man sit back and did all of this by himself, this man ain't asked for no help, no nothing. And I was just thinking to myself, like, all right, suck it up. Like, you got this. And that was one of many things that sort of just made me be like, okay, cool. I'm gonna lean on him a little bit,
I remember when I was doing my dissertation, one of the studies that I came across was, I can't even remember what the name of the study was, but they had people, so let's just say me and you go and we do let's just say we do a maze.
Right.
Like it's a hard to do maze. And so we try to figure our way out of the maze. And let's say it take us 10 minutes to figure our way out. A group will come in behind us and say, let's just say 2 of y'all will come in behind us without talking to me and you. They'll come in and then it'll take them like 8 minutes to finish it. Then the group behind them, it would take them like 6 minutes to finish it. And anyway, just the whole point was like everybody learns from the group before, even in the absence of any communication. And that just like blew my mind.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
I think about that. I went to, you're sort of right. I went to a place called the Escape Room, and then you go inside the escape room, and they give you, they put you in a room, and then you have clues all over the room. And being the first one in there, didn't know where to look, where to go to. But then after that, somebody else go in, and they be watching you on the camera, but they give you clues, but ended up finishing, and they was finding everything like left and right. And it's like, wow. But
Yeah, that also made me think about this, just in terms of podcasting. I remember I told the story before. I never forget. In terms of video editing, I remember I applied for a job, and it was like for a news station. It was like, "Oh, you got to edit this video." And I remember going in there, and actually, man, I'm still so thankful for that guy, because he tried everything he could to give me that job. When I think about it, like, so when he called me, did the phone interview, it was like, "Hey, so like on your resume, like it doesn't really." You don't really connect to it, but I like you as a person, so like this is what it is. He told me the stuff beforehand. It was like you could go home, practice it. It's a free version, do it the whole weekend. I did all that, still couldn't connect none of it. But so I went through that whole interview, and I was like, man, I don't understand none of this. This is all like a foreign language. However, when it was time for us to do this, it just all clicked. Like there was no real researching it at all. It was just I sat in front of the computer, and I was like, okay. Let's drag this here, drag that there, and it's all flowing. And so that just made me think about like, man, we're connected to literally not only every person, but everything. So the minute that I changed my mind, I was like, all right, I really want to do this now. The computer started working with me and helping me, I feel like. And I feel like that happens to me so often, especially with technology, because I'm often assumed to like be so tech advanced. But really, I'm just going up there, looking at some stuff, pressing some buttons, and it just happened to go.
And I know that's true. 'Cause, I mean, I've seen, like, all I have to do is tell the computer, I'm going to call Teron, and then the computer will work. Or either if he's already present, and I'm like, I can't get it, I'll be like, Teron, and then he'll come over, he'll press the exact same button I pressed, and it'll just work.
every time.
You know? But I did want to take a step back on this topic too and think, because I think that when I thought about it, I found that it was so powerful that I knew that we're all connected to everything. But I guess that in itself is just a mindset. I don't know when that clicked for me. That's what I want to say. I don't know when that clicked for me, that everything was flowing together. Or even when, like, because I could have watched Naked and Afraid 5 years ago and I wouldn't have thought, oh, well, she's able to do it because she just had the knowledge of everybody else. I would have thought, well, I don't know. I guess maybe she lied. Maybe she is a survivalist or something. But it just made me think about knowing and identifying that you are connected to everything that is, and how that changes so much of our lives and the ways that we view everything. Like even the idea of what I'm being taught or teaching or learning is different, because I'm like, oh, now when I think about learning something new, I don't think of it as learning something new. I think of it all as a refresher, because it's already been there. I'm just opening my mind to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's remembering again.
I think I have like everybody that I've known or that I associate myself with always sort of give me a reminder of, things that I already know about myself, like let's just say, I see Rodney, right, and I'm around Rodney, and I know I'm a confident guy, but sometimes I might not have the confident, I might not be my confident self that day, right? I know Rodney, I see Rodney as a confident dude, you know what I'm saying? Being around him, like, damn, I got my mojo juice for a second, I got that back. Being around Arvette is just, I mean, she's like my Dr. Phil. I love her, but it's like things that I know that already, it's like if I talk to her, it's a refresher, and basically it reminds me like, you already got it within you, you know what I'm saying? And she gives me that reminder, you just make me laugh all the time. You let me know like, hey, it's good to just, you ain't got to be so serious all the time. You can let out your childlike self. So I think everybody gives you a reminder of how to, get you back aware of the things that you already know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I know one of the things that I do, if I lose anything, let's say if I can't find my hairbrush, then I'd be like, if I was my brush, where would I be? And so then I would become my brush, and then I can find it.
Fine.
And then one of the skills that I learned was to ask the angels, when the angel of lost things, like if I misplaced something, I would ask the angel of lost things. And so one time, long story short, somebody's key was missing. And so basically I would have had to take that person home because it was their car key. And so we looked everywhere, like everywhere for the car key. And so then finally I was like, angel of lost things, please show me where the key is.
Right.
And then sure enough, I looked and it was sitting in an obvious place, and I just picked up the key and I'm like, here it is. And so from that time, that person, now they always ask the angel of lost things. Anytime they lose anything, like, where is my stuff at? Well, I think that's just another way of tapping into the knowledge that's already it's just floating out there.
I'm glad you told that story, because I tell you, I'm gonna open up to y'all. So this has just happened to me. Maybe like, okay, so me and Rodney just took a trip on to Vegas or whatever. Literally the night before we go, I had my little AirPods in my ear because I'm going to sleep with them in my ear or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool, they fall out when I go to sleep. But I'm like, they ain't going but so far. It's right here on my bed. So like, what's the stress? Y'all, I woke up, day of the trip, one headphone only, can't find the other one. I called, text Rodney, I was like, man, I just can't find it, man. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, call on the angel of lost things. And so I did. And this story don't have a good ending because I still ain't found it yet. But I'm glad that you said that story, because he reminded me of that story too. And I was like, yeah, you could call on the angel of lost things. And now I got to take the other part of your story that you just said and say, all right, well, if I was an AirPod, where would I be? Because my exact text to him might have been, man, I don't know anywhere humanly possible that this thing could be. But it ain't a human. So this all makes sense. But so yeah, thank you for sharing that, because I needed that reminder again.
But I think it's interesting too, because I was just speaking with someone yesterday, and the gist of what the person was saying, they were like, you've just taken the blinders off my eye. Like, just this conversation has expanded me and how I view the world. And it's like, things are already here, right? It's like already here. But because we don't believe it, we can't see it, And I just have so many examples of that in my life where I didn't believe it, I didn't think I was worthy of it, et cetera, et cetera. And then to realize, oh, that was right there the whole time. Like, I didn't see it. And then once I had that awareness, I literally can sit around and watch people do that. Like, I'm like, it's right there. And they're like, I can't have it. I can't find it. It's not for me. It's right there. But yeah, like, you just can't see it, so you don't believe it. You don't believe it's for you. You don't believe you're supposed to have it, etc. But it's like literally things are just right in front of us for the grabbing.
When I think by you just saying that, I think a lot of the times now, right? If I'm conscious and I'm thinking about either something that I want to accomplish or I want to get done, I notice it takes me longer when I'm thinking about it versus when I don't think about it. And I thought about times as to where, years ago when, I was just walking, catching a bus, and I used to be talking to myself. I'm like, things ain't gonna be like this forever, right? And I noticed, like, then at those times when I stopped, like, stressing over how things was gonna happen or when it was gonna happen. Everything just was like bam. Everything just started flowing, right? So I remember that, and I'm like, okay, stop stressing about it. let things sort of flow, you know. And what made me put myself back in that space is I have a coworker, and I get on him all the time because he moved like molasses, you know. And sometimes I need to put a little pep in his step, you know. So I'm like, all right, what would Bruce do? Like, what would he do, right? And I just thought about it. I'm like, okay, I get on him for moving slow, but yet he get the job done though, and I don't really have to do too much going back and forth with him. And I'm like, Now I apply that to myself, like, sit back, take your time, don't rush, because when you're rushing, things don't get done that way that, you know, they're supposed to get done. So I try to apply that for myself. So, you know, I appreciate you, Bruce.
That's nice. That's really a good story. You don't know how good, Bruce, you don't know how good that story is.
So it's funny how we got a piece of everybody, you know, sort of connected to us in a way.
And then what you were saying, like, I've heard you say that like a lot of times before, and I always know that it's true, but you know, I always have to try to figure out like, okay, but why is that true? So what you said was, when I am stressed about stuff or when I'm trying to get it, it takes longer for it to come. And so what I've recently realized, one of the reasons for that is when you're saying I gotta get it, and the more urgently you're saying I have to get it, it's the more urgently you're saying I don't have it. And the more you're saying I don't have it, the more you're not going to have it. So, and someone had said something to me yesterday about praying with urgency. And that they heard that it's not good to pray with urgency, that you got to pray with patience or something like that. And, you know, I kind of, in my brain, I kind of flipped it to this very thing, because if you're praying with urgency, it's like, please give me something I don't have.
Right.
You know, yeah, so that just reinforces that you don't have it.
Well, thank y'all for this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have a piece of y'all as a part of me as well. So thank y'all.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I feel like I could say like a whole lot more about this topic, but yeah, that was a good one. So thank you for joining us. For bringing that topic to us. And thank you guys for joining us. And we look forward to chatting with you again. Until then, this is Arvette.
This is Steve.
Teron.
Rodney.
Bye, y'all.